everything urban. It's your man Donni-Oh.
Yes.
J-Mo.
Yes.
You don't. When the will I got wanting competition ain't don't. Beat you, break you, broke you, smoke you, take you, send you to your little group on mute. Sooner or later, he wanna flip, tell him full, send me half with a and all that other ringling brother. It's sporty, naughty.
Yeah, it's the kid, Maryland's Mixtape Balls, DJ Ill Kid. Catch me every Sunday on Live 97.5, you feel me? Live 97.5, you dig? 4 to 7 on It's Yours Radio. Salute, DMV Mixtape Balls. Let's go.
That's right.
Well, it's changing lanes.
Yeah.
Let's talking some hoops now. We have in the building with us head coach of the University of Maryland Eastern Shore Hawks. I don't know if they called the Fighting Hawks. I might be dating myself. We were called the Fighting Hawks when I was there. Is still the Fighting Hawks, coach?
No, I don't think it's the Fighting Hawks.
Oh man, I get. Our teams were so bad. I guess they gave up the fight. Shoot, we were lucky to get 5 or 6 wins when we played.
But I want them to have a lot of fight in them, though.
Yeah, and no question about it.
They definitely have a lot of fight in them.
And no question about it. No question about it. So we have Cliff Reed, head coach of the University of Maryland Eastern Shore men's basketball team, and the 2018-2019 season is upon us, and looking forward to another great year for the Hawks. Last year was a tough start, some injuries and some key guys out. So it kind of hampered the season before it even started. So hopefully this year, things are going to be looking a little brighter, Coach, to start the season off.
Well, absolutely. But my part of my mantra is, and my motto is, we'll let the work speak for itself. But having the young men who were injured back would definitely be a big plus for us, and they're all pretty healthy right now, except for one. Isaac hurt a different part of his body. He hurt his elbow, and it was his foot before, so he's missed a little time, and he's the 6'8", 250-pound center for us.
Oh, man.
But we're looking forward to getting him back hopefully this week. Okay.
Yeah, because, riding off the heels of the 2016-2017 campaign, I mean, you went to the semis, right, in the MEAC that year?
Yeah, we went to the semis one year. I'm not sure if that was the year or not, but we definitely went to the semis one year.
Yeah. And I think you were like 9-7. In the MEAC that year as well, and last year 3-13, if I'm correct. Yeah, so definitely, again, the injuries and everything, how things started off last year, it's kind of hard to rebound from that. But this year, what are you looking for this year from the team?
Well, we spent a lot of time. We've spent a lot of time with this team trying to create an identity, and identity would be tough. Like you say, you used to be the Fighting Hawks, so we're going to do a lot of fighting. So I want
there you go.
Toughness, learn how to play smart, learn how to not beat yourself. So that'll be my stamp on the program. Will be the kids will play extremely hard. Mm-hmm. They will know how to play the game, play it the right way, won't beat themselves. And then when we get the guys, we get everybody who are injured, the injured guys, and the guys who are banged up just a little bit. We get a complete group of guys. We haven't had that in the last month or so that we've been working out, and we should be fine.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So this is your first year as head coach?
Yes, that's correct. First year as head coach. I've been at the with the Hawks for going into my 5th year, but the first year as the head coach. Okay,
and where did you coach before UMES?
Before UMES, I was in the MEAC at Savannah State. For a year. I spent a year there. I spent a year at Georgia Southern in the Southern Conference, Statesboro, Georgia. And then previous to that, I was the head coach at Bethune-Cookman for 10 years.
Okay. And that's where you played there as well.
Yes, correct? That's correct. I played at Bethune-Cookman. I remember coming to TARS. It was the only place, gym that was not as nice as Bethune-Cookman University. So it was Bethune-Cookman College at that time.
Right. Yeah, man. I remember, of course, I went to UMES, and I love going to Bethune-Cookman because we was taking that trip down south. So we go normally like January, so it'll be pretty nasty up on this end. You know what I mean? We go down there, 70, 75 degrees. Nice.
Extremely nice. It's been as high as 85 degrees in January. So it's nothing for it to be 80, 85 degrees in January.
No doubt. Yeah. Bethune-Cookman, Florida A&M. Then we come back up South Carolina State, North Carolina A&T. Man, those were the days, man.
Those were the days. But during those days, we actually bust all the way up here. So it was a different time.
Wow. So they flying now.
Yeah, we're flying now.
See, I know I'm dated. I think the only time we flew to we played Boston College, so we flew up there, and we flew out to UTEP, Texas El Paso. We had played UTEP in New Mexico, so we flew out there. Matter of fact, y'all beat UTEP a couple years ago, right?
Absolutely. UTEP. Coach Tim Floyd was out there at the time, and he's been around the block, so to speak. He's been at USC. Right. He's been in the NBA, Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, Chicago Bulls, right.
Yeah, he started out, he did well at New Orleans, I think it was, or somewhere like that. And I think it was New Orleans. But he's been around. We went out to UTEP and beat them. That might have been the year that we went to the semifinals.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. I've been doing my research.
Okay, yeah, you up on it. You up on things.
Speaking of the UTEP and those other teams, and I know as a player at UMES, one of our biggest things that for us was to check out our a non-conference schedule. It was always a tough non-conference schedule. We always wanted to, as guards, we wanted to pair ourselves up and see how we looked against the big boys, so to speak. We always held our own guard-wise. This is our big men. We just couldn't match those big guys. But who do you have on the schedule this year? Non-conference.
Non-conference, which we call money games or buy games, where they pay us a good amount of money to come play.
Indeed.
It helps us all, helps the financial department, the athletic department financially.
Helps build that big, beautiful campus you have there.
Absolutely. We start out. We go to Georgetown on the 6th of November, and then I think the 10th. We're at NC State, so we go from the Big East to the ACC. So the FBS, the Power 5 conference. Later on, we got another ACC opponent. We have Virginia Tech. We have a couple level opponents on our level. We got Delaware. We got University of American University. Who else do we have? We have Pittsburgh, Duquesne. On the same trip. That's in both teams are in Pittsburgh. So we have a very formidable schedule, a very difficult non-conference schedule.
Yeah, that's always a lot of times on the surface it doesn't look good because a lot of times you lose a lot of those games. But what do you gain? I mean, as a coach, I know, but as players sometimes it can get frustrating, because you come, especially when you first come out of high school, you go. And you're used to, winning a good amount of your games 9 times out of 10. And then you go to, I know me in particular, I went to UMES, and then I used to be on the winning end of 20 and 30-point games, and then I'm on the other side of it. So it takes a lot of win out of ourselves, and it sometimes takes the love out of the game as a player. So as a coach, what do you do to keep your guys up and keep the morale up?
Well, first, I think you asked what we get out of it. We get that money.
Other than the money, because I know you get to.
I remember that was a song. If you dated, you might remember the song. So
Go ahead.
Yeah, it was, I don't know if it's the Barcades or somebody like that, Cameo or somebody like that. But anyway, what we really do, what we get sometimes experience, the college experience and athletic experience, the academics is more than academia in the learning phase of it. So you get a chance to visit places you might not get an opportunity to visit. Get a chance to play against some of the better players in the country. And if you're a true competitor, you really want to see where you measure up. Like you said, as guards, a lot of times you can hold your own, but the big guys be 20 pounds heavier, 4 or 5 inches taller at times. And then sometimes you get a chance to play against pro guards. You get a chance to play against some of the best guys you're going to see on TV, and you really if you really want to measure up. But what I try to do is mainly is get in there and really I don't play the score. I try to play against yourself, your opponent. You are your biggest opponent. We want to maximize yourself and play the best you possibly can, play as hard as you possibly can, and learn how to carry that over into conference play, and hopefully it'll allow you to have success. The drawback to that is sometimes, like you say, you could get demoralized. And so you have to guard against that early on when you have as many games as we do non-conference that could cause you to be somewhat demoralized, and that's the one thing you have to guard against. But I've been in it over 20 years, so I think I got a feel for that.
Okay, all right, that's good. So we're gonna get into some more music. We're gonna come right back. We got Coach Cliff Reed, University of Maryland Eastern Shore men's head men's basketball coach. He's with us, and talking about the forthcoming 2018-2019 season. So hold tight. It's Yours Radio Live 97.5, Everything Urban. And we have with us today head coach Cliff Reed, UMES men's basketball coach, and we talked a little bit about the forthcoming season and some things to look forward to. Also, this Friday they have a Hawk Hysteria. Speak on that, Coach.
Hawk Hysteria. It's like the Midnight Madness used to be. A certain time of the year, October, the first Saturday closest to the 15th, we'd have Midnight Madness. Now that they changed the schedule where you can start a lot earlier than the middle of October, we pick a time. And it's different here at University of Maryland Eastern Shore than I've been anywhere else because it's like homecoming. You don't have any football. It's like a football homecoming to me. It has that kind of feeling to it where the alumni come back and be a part of it, and that's really definitely different. But it's I think it's a really good situation, really great atmosphere. Good to see a lot of the players come back and fraternize and have a good time, and that's truly what it's all about, the experience that they had and how they can try to give back as well. And so it's the 12th. It'll be start about 7:30, 8 o'clock. And then we should have some good stuff going. We should have some games, play a little games, do some different things, some 3-point shooting and stuff of that nature. And it's really just about fellowship and putting on the show and introducing the 18-19 Hawks.
Okay, that sounds great. And then that's the 12th, and then 13th you have something else?
The 13th we have men's and women's basketball tip-off banquet from 4 to 7. And national champion Coach Gary Williams will be the guest speaker for us that time. He'll probably speak about 5 p.m., but the doors are open at 4 o'clock. And we're selling tickets. It's a fundraiser for the men's and women's basketball team. What we want to do is raise money for recruiting and different things of that nature. But we also want to introduce the team to everybody and give them an opportunity to meet them and see the guys and the ladies dressed up a little bit and kick off the season. That's what it says, man. Tip-off banquet. It's $75 per person. If you want a table of 8, it would be $500.
Okay, that's great. So Friday, October 12th, we have Hawk Hysteria. That's the UMES's edition of Midnight Madness. And on the 13th, you have a Hawk tip-off with the legendary Hall of Fame coach, Gary Williams, national champion coach, Gary Williams. So, make sure you can try to make one of those, if not both, events. And you mentioned, UMES's, Midnight Madness being equivalent to, homecoming because there's no football team there, obviously. And we'll talk a little bit about homecoming because that's a big date on the calendar. UMS's homecoming is in February, because of the basketball team. So, and that's always that team, that date you circle on the calendar. Yes. So who you have this year? We
have Coppin State University coming in this year, so we're looking forward to it. We haven't won homecoming in a while, but we want to come out this year and really have a good showing. And we want all the Hawks to come out and squawk and scream and support us, and we'll put on a good showing for you for sure.
Man, looking forward to that for sure. You guys played some games in Canada?
Yes, we went on what we call a foreign trip, where you get to do it every 4 years. And we were fortunate enough. I think this is the first time it's ever been done, is what I was told. So we went to Canada and played 4 games in 6 days. And the Canadian teams are really good teams. They're college teams that get to practice year-round and play year-round. And we had a good showing over there, other than Carleton, who beat, before we got over there, they beat Cincinnati. And then they came back and beat Mississippi State as well, and they beat both of them, I think, by 20. Other than that game, we had a chance to win each game. We went 2-2.
Okay.
Yeah, we went 2-2, and with 6 new guys, and 10 days of practice.
Wow.
So it was 6 new guys and only 10 days of practice. We took 13 guys, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was proud of the guys. They played extremely hard, and so it was a different game. It's a 24-second shot game. The game is totally different. Ball shot, hit the rim, you get offensive rebound, 14 seconds. So we weren't accustomed.
So you got NBA rules there.
Yeah. We weren't accustomed to playing that fast. So it was totally different, and those teams, they play that way all the time.
Okay. So y'all play quarters and not halves?
Play quarters and not halves.
Okay.
4 quarters, 4 10-minute quarters. Not halves, but the the most important thing about it was the opportunity to practice and the opportunity for young men to get a chance to go to what is considered out the country.
Mm-hmm.
And even though Canada's right there, it's out the country. And then we got a chance to visit different things, visit different cities, Montreal, Quebec, Ottawa. We played in all those places. We were living in Montreal. So it was a great experience for the guys. And we got a chance we do some touring while we're there as well.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So how do they, I know you said it happens every 4 years, but how do they choose Maryland Eastern Shore?
Well, what we can do is we through the guarantee games, we had them pay for it in advance. So there are different places you can go, and we chose to go to Montreal with a company. And a gentleman say, "Hey, Clifford, it'd be good basketball. I don't know if you can win a game because
they're sleeping on the Hawks."
Yeah. He told me that, and he's a guy I've been knowing a long time. He said it's gonna be really good basketball. You can go there, or you can go to Bahamas. Well, I say, well, I'm from Florida. I've been to the Bahamas, and I vacated in the Bahamas, but I'm really about trying to improve the program. Mm-hmm. So we decided to go to Montreal instead, which is beautiful that time of year, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's beautiful that time of year, and the competition was very stiff, and they played hard, they played well.
So when y'all played in August?
In August.
August
10th through the 16th.
Yeah, better to go in August than February.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, yeah, that's great. That's great. And like you said, a great experience, going out of the country, and just cultural difference.
Yeah, definitely. Cultural difference. There are a lot of guys, probably some of them hadn't been out of the country, but some of these guys, because they play a lot of basketball, had been before. Mm-hmm. But some of them hadn't, and we have a Canadian kid on the team, Gabriel Jimfy.
Okay.
And he had never even been to Montreal, so
wow.
Yeah, he'd been living there all his life, and had never been to Montreal. But it was a great experience, and like I said, I was proud of them. They played really hard. Mm-hmm. Played hard.
That's cool. And just kind of piggybacking off of that and talking about kids having that experience through travel and whatnot. What is the for you? What have you seen the impact of AAU to college basketball, or just basketball in general?
Well, AAU, it's a lot of good to it, but there's a little bit of bad to it. AAU, it gives you the exposure that you didn't have per se back when we played. Mm-hmm. In Florida, where I'm from, and I graduated from Bethune, they only had one team. That was Team Florida, Nike Team Florida. That was it.
That was it for the whole state.
The whole state of Florida.
Wow.
The whole state of Florida. So if you weren't Derek Harper, who played in the NBA, and or the level of Vince Carter, you might not have been on the team.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Going way back. So you might not have been on the team. So so you only got about 12 players.
Mm-hmm.
But now you have multiple. You got maybe 100 team in a state.
Yeah.
So a young man could be in the gym, and you're just in there waiting on another game, and you can spot him and say, oh, he's pretty talented, because there's so much talent out there. And that's the good to it. I guess the negative you would say would be some of the they go through so many people. Just the high school coach is not the person you deal with now. It could be the AAU, the assistant AAU coach. There's so many layers that you have to go through in order to recruit them, in order to get an opportunity to bring them to your school. Mm-hmm. So that would be the tough part of it.
Now I see a lot of the AAU coaches trying to be agents for some of their players. Especially like some of the top-notch players. Well,
that could be an issue. The NCAA is all over that stuff today, man.
Right.
It's just, it's with social media, with we live in an instant age society, that it's hard to regulate and all that stuff that goes on and what's going on today. Yeah. But I think for the most part it's good, because the thing about it is, with a tournament, I get to see literally thousands of guys in one tournament. So it saves money for the schools who don't have as much money, because I don't need to. Kansas jump in the plane and they fly and see a kid in California, and then a few hours later they watching a kid in Georgia. Mm-hmm. We can't afford to do that, so we get to see multiple kids in one place and get an opportunity to recruit that way. So it's a lot more beneficial.
Man, you read my notes here, because I was about to ask. One of the things that I remember years ago, Magic Johnson. He was I think he had coached the Lakers. It wasn't a full season, I know, because eventually stepped down. He was like, I just can't deal with these players. One in particular, Nick Van Exel, because and this is I want to say 94, maybe 93, 94, and this is again dating herself. Nick Van Exel was in the locker room, and he was on his pager, using his pager, and Magic grabbed the pager and threw it up against the locker. You know what I'm saying? So that was like the technology at that time. He's like, he couldn't deal with the technology and these players, kind of self-righteous, a little little edgy, doing their own thing. I guess it was different for Magic at that time. I can only imagine how it is now with social media and technology today. How is it to dealing with that? I'm sure, man, you've been coaching for about 20-some years now, so I mean, you've seen it all, ebbs and flows, and you've adjusted through all that. But just going back from the time when we played and to now, and the difference, that aside, but just as far as that's the, I guess, I don't want to say the negative side, because you just have to grow with technology.
Yes,
absolutely.
absolutely.
But how is it on the positive side? How do you utilize that in recruiting? And today, where you have access to players, through YouTube and through these different websites that they use those as recruiting tools. As before, we didn't have that. You had to actually go there and lay eyes on these players. How is that an advantage, and how do you utilize that to take advantage of that as a coach and as a recruiter?
Well, it's so important that you understand how to utilize it, because it's so much information out there, and like you say, YouTube. Everybody sends highlight video. It's video. It's a 5-minute clip. We're so used to, me in particular, so used to watching a full game of a recruit,
right,
as opposed to a 5-minute video. I want to see, how he reacts in different situations.
Right.
And
because that highlight clip is just showing you nothing but the best of the
best of the best. And
right.
So that highlight clip can trick you,
no doubt.
So you have to be, and then you learn how to evaluate highlight tapes, because that's all the kid is going to send you initially, and then the tapes may follow if you're interested enough.
Right.
So you have to learn how to truly evaluate, okay, does he have the skill set that I'm looking for, or enough of a skill set, in this 5-minute clip that I think we should recruit him. And then you also have recruiting services, the same thing, and they rate players that they go watch play. And so that you have to make sure that you tap into credible recruiting services, credible coaches, AAU coaches, and you evaluate that way. And then and with the recruiting process, you also, the branding is a big thing with the players as well as everybody, but you have to try to brand your program through social media, where when you call him, first thing he do is Google you.
Right.
So he goes right to his phone, and in an instant he got all the information he need about your program. So what he see, it has to be something that he identifies with, that's okay, it's of his generation.
It has to be impactful to him.
Impactful to him. Yeah, exactly. So that's what's important, and you got to have some young people on staff that understand that.
Exactly. Like you had the young ladies in here.
They on
with
top
the cameras.
of it.
No doubt, because they love doing that. With
absolutely. I'm always talking to them and trying to figure out what I need to do, and they're a blessing to me. Hey, I utilize them, and they teach me to keep me young. You know?
No doubt. It's Yours Radio Live 97.5, everything urban. Donni-Oh, J-Mo. We have the coach with us, Cliff Reed, University of Maryland, Eastern Shore. We're gonna get into a couple more songs, and we're gonna come back with the coach. We're gonna take a break, and then we got DJ Cheese lined up. It's Yours Radio Live 97.5, everything urban. Let's go, baby. Get to the games this year. What can they expect from the University of Maryland Eastern Shore Hawks?
They can expect us to play tough, hard, fast, and furious. You'll see us play extremely well, play extremely hard. We'll also be very disciplined. I'm a former military man, so I believe in discipline. And I believe in high character. You mentioned something about high character people. I believe in high character young men, because you know what to expect all the time, and that's what we also trying to build that as well in the young men. We're trying to build young men into men, so they understand how to go out in society and take care of themselves, their families, and etc. And through doing that, we want to put a great product on the court as well, because when you build them into championship people, they'll cut down the championships in life.
That's
right.
So
that's what we expect. Expect us to play really hard. Expect us to be smart. Expect us to really compete all the time and be right there, and be a really good product. It's something that the Shore can be proud of.
You just touched on something, and it kind of popped back in my head. It was a question I wanted to ask earlier, but we got into a different conversation. But I saw a meme on Facebook, and it verbatim, not quoting it directly, but in the vein of something where it's basically saying no matter how great you are, how good you are athletically, I'm just kind of paraphrasing, if the grades aren't up to par, none of that matters. Just for those who are listening, because we have a vast group who listen to us, young, old, and everything in between. So and one of the things that we always try to give is a couple of jewels to the youth, in particular. We always try to give them something positive to think of and feed on. So just let the listeners know, no matter how important it is for the academics.
Well, without the academics, you're not going to. It's extremely difficult, and 99% of the time, you're not going to get to where you aspire to from a basketball standpoint if you don't take care of the academic side of it. Over the course of years, the NCAA requirements have changed, and they're usually more stringent than most universities. Not all universities, but the requirements to get in school, to be eligible to participate, and they also make sure that they keep you on course to graduate. You had to have a percentile rule, and we have what we call APR and things of that nature. A percentile rule, like if I'm in school for 2 years, then I got to have 40% toward my degree. I have to have clarified it. Stated at what degree I'm gonna be in, and I have to have 40% of my hours toward that, and then the next year 60%, and then the fourth year 80% toward a degree in order to be eligible to participate athletically. So if you stay on that track, what they did was do a study. If you stayed on that track, you were more likely to graduate than not. And so that's why on the shore here at the university, we have a 79 to 80-some percentile graduation rate of our student athletes, which is usually much higher than the student body population at most institutions because of the built-in factors academically. And so they have a sliding scale, and it's gone up as recently as 2 years ago again. So they keep making the adjustments, making it tougher, and therefore usually the percentages have gone up for young men and women of especially of color graduating within 4 and 5 years. Not just not just graduating say 6 years, but graduating within 4 and 5 years. And at Eastern Shore, before I got here, they've done a superb job academically of graduating student athletes in athletics and on the basketball team and as well.
You keep touching on certain things, man, leading right into the next, man, segueing right into it.
Okay.
With University of Maryland Eastern Shore obviously being an HBCU, talk about the importance for those who are the African-American men and women to attend an HBCU, especially in today's racial climate. And I think, because for me personally, I've always been conscious, you know what I mean, socially and historically, but it wasn't until I got to the University of Maryland Eastern Shore where I really appreciated it. I thought I knew a lot of things. At that time, that Malcolm actually had that Malcolm X and the African medallions. I'm really dating myself now. That was the thing back then. On the radio, you have the KRS-One, the Public Enemy. So that consciousness was kind of mainstream, so to speak, as well. Spike Lee had the X move, yes. Malcolm X movie and all that. So it was out there, and it was like kind of cool to be conscious, But and then I went to the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, and I took an African Studies course, and man, it really enlightened me. And I know going there and being, because at that time too, a different world was on TV, you know what I mean? So it was like we was living a different world at Maryland Eastern Shore, you know what I mean? But all of that just combined, just the family atmosphere with it being a small, campus and everybody knows one another. It just meant something different than had I went to a different university. Talk about that experience for us at a HBCU. Yes, I'm a HBCU graduate as well, as I stated earlier, and it may not be for everyone, but it's important. And early on, it gave us an avenue to be educated formally beyond high school. So, but now it also, I think it's important with our heritage to understand who we are, where we come from, and also sometimes we let others define who we are, what's important to us, or what contribution we're making. And the contribution is big because the young men and the women, as you can see, I have managers who've gone on I've had managers at Bethune, she went on to become a lawyer. So I've had young ladies in the program as well. But it's important that they are getting an outlet, and they're going back into our communities and being leaders in the community, and we are educating them and sending them back out there to do that. And sometimes we let others say, well, if you ain't Power 5, then you're not significant, which is not true, because your significance is different than what theirs is. And we have to understand that we're still viable, we're still needed, and we put out a quality product, not just
in life, but on the court as well.
Wow, powerful. Because I think again we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. We had Judge Joe Brown on as a guest, and he was talking about the importance of voting in November.
Okay.
And be it regardless of party, just go out there and make your voice heard. It's so cliche. You always say, well, people fought and died for your ability to vote and whatever. But I think a lot of times, and I used to work, it's crazy, 'cause I used to work at the up in Talbot County. I used to help out at the voting polls. Okay. So, and this was right before Obama came, and I just wanted to get that experience and just see what it's like behind the scenes, and I did it for 8 years, and during the entire Obama presidency, and to see like the process and to know how important it is, and to know a lot of times, we all look for the general election, the midterms, a lot of times we skip, and those are very important because that's where Congress, that's when we put in those who are in Congress, the House and the Senate during the midterms, and a lot of times, most cases, they're more powerful than the president, you know what I mean? And people don't understand it. I think they're starting to understand it more because of the president that we have now, and we see like the urgency of it, which to me, I mean, it should be urgent every couple of years, but I guess, what we're dealing with now, what we're seeing now, there's some more urgency to it. I think, and then locally as well, because we have some local seats and different things, which really impacts us more so because we're talking about education and and road work and all the local things that go on. A lot of times we complain about different things, but we have a say so in that. Absolutely. But we don't even utilize it because we don't know anything about the candidates. We don't know, and that's something else too. This is something down the road, but we're gonna have a few candidates on the show as well. Yeah, to trying to drum that up and get people energized and mobilized to make their voice heard. But that's very important. And again, what you mentioned the importance of when you said you had one of your managers going to become a lawyer. I mean, at the end of the day, outside of basketball, I remember Coach John Thompson, Georgetown Hoyas, always said the father, the legend. The legend. He said, use basketball. Don't let basketball use you. And that is a prime example right there. You're a young lady managing the team, and she becomes a lawyer, and I'm sure you have stories of other players who went on, and they may not have gone to the NBA, but they went on to, had success after college. And that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. I've coached guys with CPAs, guys who own their own, entrepreneurs who own their own business right now, and especially a black guy to pass the CPA, I think the test the first time, I think it's 2 parts to it. Mm-hmm. And I had a young man, I coached him in high school and college. So you'll be very proud of those accomplishments. That's what it's truly all about. Mm-hmm. And hopefully they'll reach back and they'll educate somebody else and lift somebody up as well, like they've had that help. And teachers, coaches. I've coached different people and that's gone on to do great things, and that's truly what it's all about. Mm-hmm. And then if you don't, and then we can't make change if we don't truly vote, and we don't understand that. So I try to. They say leadership starts with what you do first. So I took my son to the polls when he was old enough to vote. I think it was 18 or whatever it was. He voted for President Obama the first time. Okay, that was the first time he was old enough to vote. So he and I went together. I try to have those. I'm old. I'm dated, I guess. I ain't gonna say old school, but I try to have those father memories where you teach them how to drive and ride a bike and vote and things of that nature. So I tried to make sure that I was involved in those, the haircut and all that, that stuff. So from the haircut to the voting, I was right there with him, trying to lead the way.
No doubt. Kind of remind me of Anthony Anderson from Blackish. You ever watch that?
I watch it. Yeah, that's a good show.
Yeah, no doubt. That's a good, man. Good stuff. Well, Coach, you got anything else for us before we wrap it up?
No, I just come out and support, and sometimes there are gonna be trials and tribulations, but that's how the diamond get polished and cleaned and cleared and becomes that the diamond is worth a whole lot more. So as we go through some of the trials and tribulations, just stick with us, and you'll see a product you can be proud of. Come out and support us with the banquet which is the 13th. Like I say, a Hall of Famer and national champion coach Gary Williams will be speaking on the 13th from 4 to 7. And Hawk Hysteria. All you Hawks come out and support and have a good time. So it's time to fellowship, have a good time, and get a chance to meet the men and women program.
Sounds good. Sounds good. That's Coach Cliff Reed, University of Maryland Eastern Shore, head men's basketball coach. And again, keep listening. We're going to be giving you, updates on, the Matt. Oh, actually, before we bounce, when's the first home game?
First home game is we play Longwood at home.
Okay.
And it's November 13th. I can't look past Georgetown and North Carolina State, so I take it one game at a time. I can tell you the 6th and I can tell you the 10th, but I didn't realize till recently we play Longwood on the 13th at home, and that's our first home game. But definitely come out and support us on the 13th. We play Longwood at home, and we have Delaware later on in the year at home, and a couple other non-Division I opponents at home, and you see a good brand of basketball.
Hey, listen, Coach, I understand. If you got Georgetown and North Carolina State on your schedule, Longwood is the last school you're thinking of.
Well, I'm thinking about them in order. So I gotta take it one game, one day at a time.
Yeah.
Try to get better one game, one day at a time.
Okay,
I'm going to give you some of these schedules, too.
All right, appreciate it. Yes, sir. We'll put these out on the lobby out there here at the station. I'll make sure I get mine, put my wallet. Mm-hmm. All right. So, definitely looking forward to it, and definitely looking forward to checking out some games this year, too, Coach.
And thank you. I want to say thank you for this opportunity to come out and let you know about the team, and so that we can drum up support and everything. And you're a former Hawk yourself, so
no doubt.
I found that the pride is very deep, too. I ran into a young man who coaches at I can't think of his name. It's kind of hard to pronounce, but he coaches in Florida at Jacksonville University. I'm from Florida.
Okay.
So he's very proud of the university, too. And he wasn't an athlete. He was not an athlete, but he's extremely proud. And I was impressed with the young man and happy to see that. Yeah. So you guys, the alumni base here is very proud and very strong. So thank you for the opportunity to come on your radio show.
Yes, indeed. And I know the season, is pretty busy and whatnot. We like to, hear how the season's going. As a matter of fact, I mean, we'll talk off air. You can call in and, I know times, it's going to be tight schedule pretty soon.
Yeah, absolutely. The schedule's tight now, but
and our shows we're only on one day a week on Sunday, so I know that's even tougher for you. But we'll work it out. So keep us updated on Hawks basketball. That'd be great.
And we get out in the community. We've done community stuff too at the church, and we've we're gonna go out and do the cancer walk in Ocean City on the 20th.
Okay.
We did the thing a couple of weeks ago. The cancer situation. The young men and women at Eastern Shore, the whole, not just the men's basketball team, but the whole athletic department was a part of it. That we do every year. And so we out here in the community. We're doing some different things. We did a, back to school kickoff cookout for support staff. Sometimes we don't appreciate the people who make it work for us.
No doubt.
People who do all the little things and the small things behind the scenes that we forget to think sometimes. So we did a book bag giveaway that we want to make sure that they understand going back to school. We do that again. We'll do that next year for the second time. We did that, and people showed up where we gave away supplies and things of that nature, the men and women basketball program. Mm-hmm. So appreciate y'all, man, and appreciate you having me on.
No doubt about it, Coach.